You may look at this journal right now and think, yeah, pretty typical journal, although great color, Caitlin, I know, great choice. But I look at this journal and I think, wow, what a shift this has been in my journaling routine. I've spent the last 120 days filling this journal every day with my thoughts and feelings and raw emotions, and I want to talk about why I've made this kind of shift into my journaling routine, what I'm doing, how I'm going to be setting up my second journal for the rest of the year, and generally just why I think this is a practice that everyone can benefit from. So let's get into it. Some background for those of you who are newer to my channel. I started my first bullet journal in the summer, I believe, of 2016. I was about to enter my second year of university, and it completely shifted my life for many reasons, one of which was because bullet journaling was new and people were really interested in seeing how people put their journals together, and I shared those videos monthly on my channel, and I got to connect with so many people through those videos every month. I know so many longtime viewers found my channel through those monthly setups. It also transformed my life in the fact that it just added so much productivity and organization to a really busy student life. I was able to make month-at-a-glance calendars, weekly spreads, to-do lists. I did have wellness elements incorporated in there with like gratitude logs and self-care activities, but for the most part it was more of a planner the way that I used it, with a creative touch, because obviously I was putting spreads together. I'll include a few of my favorite Plan With Me videos in the description box below in case you're curious, but it had more of this technical side of it, of like how am I doing more, not like how am I reflecting on all of my deep inner thoughts. And that is the biggest shift between that style journaling versus what I'm doing now. I'm not doing bullet journaling, I'm doing just straight up self-reflective journaling, but I'm using a concept that I found from a special book called The Artist's Way. This is The Complete Artist's Way. This has 3, I think, books in one. The Artist's Way, which is the first of the 3 books, is a 12-week program that is really, I think, summed up really well in this little subtitle on how to find your creativity as a spiritual practice. And she leverages a tool called the morning pages that throughout the 12 weeks, although there's different mini tasks in those 12 weeks, this task stays the same and you have to do it every single day, and it's called the morning pages. But simply, the morning pages are 3 pages of longhand writing, strictly stream of consciousness. There's no wrong way to do the morning pages. These daily morning meanderings are not meant to be art or even writing. Nothing is too petty, too silly, too stupid, or too weird to be included. The morning pages are not supposed to sound smart, although sometimes they might. Most times they won't, and nobody will ever know except you. Nobody is allowed to read your morning pages except you. And you shouldn't even read them yourself for the first 8 weeks or so. Just write 3 pages and stick them into an envelope, or write these pages in a spiral notebook and don't leaf back through. Just write 3 pages and write 3 pages the next day. So in short, you start your day, you open your journal, and you've got 3 pages to fill however you so see fit. And you can talk about anything. Like, it can just even be, you know, at times, for me at least, speaking from experience, it was talking about the meal I made the day before, or a conversation I had, or sometimes it's a real mega stream of consciousness of a lot of different thoughts I feel like are clouding my brain, and if I were to read them back, the entries back, I wouldn't even be able to follow properly what I'm actually trying to talk about, because I'm just ping-ponging to different areas. Although I haven't completed the Artist's Way program, I got a couple weeks in and then I pulled back for other reasons. I do plan to complete it because those first couple weeks were really great for the soul, and there's a lot of great guided questions to think about each week to add to your practice. But I liked the morning pages concept because the idea of saying I'm not even going to put a time limit to my journaling, I have a space limit, I think forces you to stretch yourself sometimes. Not that a time limit doesn't, but I used to always do like a 10-minute journal session whenever I would do a stream of consciousness, and I think having 3 pages, I time my entries, and I typically take 15 to 20 minutes. So I'm spending a lot more time in the journaling space, and I think more is able to come out that way. So I really love it as a concept, and I think, like, you know, take the book out of it, I think this is a really cool way of doing it. I think we all kind of go through those seasons or moments throughout our life. It's inevitable. It's a part of being human, is to go through pain that can be involved with things like grief or illness or change, uncertainty. And when we go through these seasons, the brain just gets so loud. And I looked at this as an opportunity for me to be really unfiltered with releasing my thoughts, more so than I could be to a friend, to a family member. You can find yourself auditing when you tell people your story to make yourself or to make other people look better, or to kind of control the narrative in a way. But I think that's been a refreshing part about this journal journey, is that I really do write without judgment of even myself, because if I'm not doing this with full gusto, then what's the point of doing it? Like, if I'm not being raw, then like, why am I filling this journal? Like, I can't write this as if my grandchildren are gonna read it and try and piece my life together. I like to think of this as more of, this is just me expressing things that are going on in my brain right now. I think that has also made me more comfortable with the fact that not all of my thoughts are even the real story, or something I write in here isn't necessarily my 100% belief or truth on that thing. Like, the next day I might have a completely different perspective. That doesn't make the entry from yesterday false, but it's only a snapshot of a thought. And the thing is, thoughts and beliefs and perspectives are constantly evolving and shifting, and you can't like judge a picture, you know, because you're not getting all the other stuff. So I do try my best to write as if no one will read it, because no one will. This is for me. Obviously, if you are journaling and you feel like your journal is at risk of being read by someone else, then I can understand how that would be harder to do and not feel like you have to explain every thought. Like, I'm angry about this, but also blah, 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 or I'm happy about this, but I'm also disappointed about this. Like, I think then you can start creating the narrative, writing your life story and not just writing what you're authentically feeling. So if that's the case for you, maybe digital journaling would be better, because then you can put a password on that journal that you use, and you can kind of create that safe space for yourself. But yeah, this is just meant for me, and I think if you kind of keep it with that in mind, that's when you get the most out of it. And I've had friends ask me, as I've like shared that I'm doing this, you know, like, does it help? And for me, I will say there are days where I don't want to do it, and there are days where I write and I'm like, okay, well, that didn't really do anything for me, but at least I did it. And I've been trying to, I think there was like a handful of days for sure that I missed, but I've tried to be very strict in committing to the bit and showing up daily with the morning pages. There are these exceptional days where I have an entry and the writing goes somewhere where I wasn't expecting, or I wasn't thinking starting the page, that by the end of the page, or by the end of the 3 pages, I'd end up to a topic completely unrelated, and it gets me thinking about what's going on in my subconscious and why is that thing coming up. And it's for those moments I get like, oh, that's really good. Or sometimes I write something down and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know I thought about this in this way. What a cool thing about me that I didn't know. Another thing I really loved about it is that even though you're not really supposed to go back and read your entries, your recent entries, I think Julia Cameron says in that blurb, like the last 8 weeks. And I don't think throughout this whole journal I ever went back to reading any entries. But at the end of yesterday's session, because I finished the last page, I did go back to the first couple entries, and I was taken aback by the fact that A, it was really cool to go back and see my headspace from a day even just like 4 months ago, and just know how much information I didn't have and what was coming, and like to just go into my head in that kind of way was really weird, but in a cool way. Also, just the act of reliving memories I don't have documented anywhere else. Like, I don't have photos of these things that happened, or these videos of the thing that happened, or even if I do have photos, videos, I don't have my perspective documented in the same way. It's cool to have that for myself, to know what I was thinking. That's why I really think I've been motivated to film this video, because it's after completing a full journal and being so consistent with it that I truly feel like, yes, now I can say that there are so many perks to doing it. In the past like couple of years, I've read a lot of books in the health space, the mental health space too, and it comes up time and time again how dangerous stress is. Stress is a fight or flight sensation, and it has physical repercussions in our body. When we are in a stressful situation, our body interprets that as we're in danger and we need to escape the danger. So things like our heart rate increases, our blood pressure increases, our cortisol levels skyrocket. Now the problem is, although it's great that our bodies have that mechanism that can be turned on when we're actually in danger, we can also turn on this stress response by thought alone when we're fixating on a meeting that we have to have, or a presentation that we need to give, or a conversation that we have to have with this person, or you watch the news, or you see something on social media, and all of a sudden we can be living in this high stress state, which includes like anxiousness or fear, blues, or insecurity, however it kind of shows up for you. But we can be in this state for long term, and that's not good for ourselves, yes, mentally, but also for our physical bodies. So it's really important to find ways to manage stress in our life, and there are lots of different tools for that. I think everyone's journey in life is finding what tools are best served in your toolkit. I look at this as a really powerful tool for offloading a lot of baggage that comes in your head, and starting the day with it is a way of releasing it, so that hopefully as you're going through your day, you're a little bit more conscious of where your unconscious thoughts are taking you, because that subconscious brain is ruling so much of the way that we interpret the world. So this plus meditation plus working out plus other things in my life are like such big pluses in my mental health toolkit. And I don't want to make it sound like this is all like negative stuff in here. There's also lots of love and joy and exciting moments and happiness, but we all are probably at all times going through something, and I think a tool like this can be really insightful. So this is my first one. This is a Lloydstrom 1917 dotted notebook, but I am going to start my second one for the year using another Lloydstrom 1917. This one is actually designed to be like, it's the official bullet journal collaboration that Lloydstrom did. So it's got a few little extras that this one doesn't have. I think I'll need another journal before the end of the year. I'm gonna have to figure out what shade of pink to go so that this feels like a good trilogy. I didn't do anything to set up this journal. I just started writing my first entry with a pen. But for this one, I figured I'd add a few little extra tidbits at the beginning to set the scene and to create an extra peaceful home, an inviting home for my thoughts to live in the next probably 4 to 5 months. So let's go do that. For the first spread in this journal, I'm starting off by just writing down my name so that if in the worst case scenario I lose this journal, which is very unlikely, but if I do, someone knows it belongs to me. I'll add some contact information to this page as well, and just giving people an extra warning not to give it a read, you know, not meant for them. I knew when I came across this beautiful floral paper, there's actual flowers on the paper, which is so beautiful, that it had to end up in this journal because it makes me feel happy whenever I look at it. So I cut it out to fit the dimensions of the page, and I used some glue tape to adhere it. I'll include a link down below to the glue tape I love using. I use this all the time too when I used to make journal spreads, and I do this for my Kindle decor videos as well. It's just an easy way to adhere paper to paper. I have this little reminder on the page that where your attention goes, your energy flows. And that's just a reminder to myself that, hey, I have control over how I feel based on what thoughts I'm kind of letting linger or which thoughts I'm dwelling on. So this is a reminder to pick better thoughts. In addition to the morning pages, I also use the morning as an opportunity to do a morning meditation. I've really dialed into my meditation practice in 2024. I'm learning more about meditation. I'm taking courses. I'm just deepening this practice in every way, and it's felt really good. So I feel like not only am I doing these two activities at the same time, so it makes sense to put them in the same journal, but they're really tied together. Things that come up in my meditation can often come up in my journal entries, so it makes sense to have this information here. I have a spot to keep track of the day that I meditated, the length of time I took to meditate, and just some notes. I'm probably going to write down notes pertaining to what kind of meditation I did. I love doing guided meditation, so whose guided meditation did I do that day? This next spread is more of a fun one, but I think it also has some purpose. It's a spot for me to document all of the things I'm consuming while I'm filling this journal in. So over these next few months, what TV shows and movies am I watching? What books and audiobooks am I listening to and reading? What recipes am I experimenting with? What activities am I doing to introduce play into my life? The Artist Way actually talks about having an artist day once a week, which is where you get to be just kind of creative and fun. So I think this is a great spot to document those moments. So yes, this page is definitely a fun one for me to look back on, but I think how you're thinking internally can also be influenced by the things that you're consuming. So who knows what kind of connections I'll make between how I'm feeling or thinking and what I'm filling my brain with. Creating this spread felt super nostalgic to me because any of you who watched my bullet journal videos in the past know I loved using craft paper, and I still love using this in anything that I can because I think craft paper is so warm and inviting. It's saying, please write in me. It's saying, please make mistakes on me, because it just adds to the charm, and there's just something so cozy about that, and the visual of it is just really nice, I think, too, in a journal. So happy to be using it again. And then I wanted to also have a page to document core memories from the next, I anticipate 4 months that I'll take to fill in this journal. I like to think of most of the time that these are going to be positive memories, so happy things to look back on and just have written. Again, I do a lot of documenting with a camera and photos and video, but there are things that get lost, and it's just nice sometimes to have the written confirmation that yes, this little moment, this thing happened, and it was really special. That's really it for the designed pages. The rest of the journal is going to be filled in with a simple pen. And the only way that I set up my journal entries every day is I write down the date and I write down the time I started, but I also write down the time I ended because I like the idea of knowing how long it took me to get through an entry. I think that adds some interesting context. There you have it. There's my new journal for the next few months. I'm excited to start filling it up. I have included a freebie down below that you can get if you want some self-reflection questions to help guide your journaling, but I do encourage you to experiment with stream of conscious journaling if you've never done it before. If journaling is not your tea, like just as an extra tip, another cool way to do this would be through audio notes. I'm just so curious to see where this journal takes me. It was just such a neat experience to read the first entry and to know what the last entry was about of this journal. So it's got me just really excited to have that moment again with another journal and to really be able to use these together to even paint a bigger picture of, you know, where growth has happened, what I'm struggling with, where I'm getting better, and just using this as a tool to keep bettering myself, because I think we all could do some bettering, right? No one's perfect, no one's perfectly evolved. Let me know in the comments down below if you have a daily or weekly journaling practice, why you started, what you've taken away from the practice. I'll see you all soon with a new video, and until then, bye guys.
It's hard to understand why some people put their head in the sand in a world so cold where hearts are stone.